Hey guys, this is James from TeaDB bringing you InBetweenIsode number 43. So this is going to be a comparison episode, a couple teas. So a while back I brought on white tea's Old Bear. It's a fang cha, which means it's basically a square shape sort of thing. I would show you it, but I've broken into my fang cha quite a bit already, so it's a little bit broken up. But so it's a square shape, and I enjoyed the tea a lot, but kind of like the cynical part of me was like, this is good. I wonder how it compares to a Xiaguan equivalent. So the year is 2006, so I ordered this purple box fang cha, which is a Feitai production, and so you can see that this one is a little bit more intact. From Taobao, actually. This is straight from China. It's been Guangdong-stored. I got it from a vendor that does a lot of Guangdong storage. Sells for about $8 there. To actually get this tea onto your table, of course, you're going to have to pay a lot of fees and stuff, so the price ends up coming closer to like $13, I would say, by the time you actually get it to table, and you have to jump through a lot of hoops and stuff. So the prices are very comparable. This is 125 grams, the purple box. The white tea one was 100 grams. And, I'm just curious to see how they compare. So I have done 2 rinses on each tea plus 1 steep. So we are going to do the purple box first. This water should already be hot. Do 1 steep here, and with a lot of these like highly compressed teas, and both of these fang chas are highly compressed, they're gonna take a little bit longer to get going, and a lot of it depends on how much you want to break up the leaves before you start brewing. Alright, so we're getting kind of a yellow, a little cloudy orangey. I won't let that cool. Meanwhile, we will brew the Old Bear. So the Old Bear supposedly has also had some Guangdong dry storage. So the storage, you never know how similar or different they might be, but from the outsider's perspective looking in, they would be very similar. So the clarity on the liqueur looks to be a little bit better. Orange. Alright, so let's have a smell. So initially, I smelled a lot of pine. Now I'm smelling a little bit more sweeter fruit notes in the Old Bear. And so the fang cha is more still coming apart compared to the Old Bear. So the compression, I think, has remained a little bit stronger on the Xiaguan fang cha. So, they're definitely different. I smell, I guess, more sweet fruit tones on the Xiaguan, and I get some of those tones also on the Old Bear, but it's more towards the pine and wood aspects of it. So here we go, Xiaguan. There's a bit of smoke, as can be expected. You have to be careful when you're drinking all these smoked out teas that your palate doesn't just get completely messed up. I made the mistake of sessioning an iced tea after having the Old Bear once, and it just tasted way different than previous times having it. So I would say it sort of mixes those genres together. The pine, there's a little bit of cooling effect in the mouth, a little bit, not a whole lot. Pine, a little bit of sort of like fruit sweetness. It's definitely pretty pungent. I think that if you extended the steep times on this, you would probably be greeted with a fairly unpleasant bitter brew. Alright, and the Old Bear. So the mouthfeel is a little bit more dynamic. It has sort of like this buzziness that hits the tip of the tongue right when you first consume it. It has, and this might be just because it's come apart a little bit faster, but it's a little bit more rounded in its profile. And I would actually say that this tea is smokier than the Feitai production. Alright, we're going to do another steep. So this water should still be relatively hot. I'm going to let that go for 10 seconds, we'll say. And we'll give the Old Bear the same treatment. So you can see the liqueur just deepening, darkening a little bit. The clarity is a little bit better than the previous steep. And if you guys are wondering how to buy tea from Taobao and stuff like that, we've done a video in the past. I wouldn't particularly recommend that tea, but my InBetweenIsode for next week will talk specifically not about the purple box, but a different Xiaguan tea that I also picked up from the Bao. Alright, we're going to wait for that to cool. Yeah, so the Old Bear, I noticed right before this episode, actually, that the tea is sold out on white tea. I don't know if that's a matter of him just needing to restock it, or if it's actually sold out permanently. I would say that this has been like a really nice sort of like daily tea. It's definitely like not a tea that everyone is going to enjoy. I've had particularly poor success with like my girlfriend and some of my other friends that might sort of like veer away more from that smoky, bitter, very masculine profile, if we're going to just gender type this. Whereas some of my friends that might like whiskey and stuff like that have been more sort of acclimated to that sort of taste profile. Right, cheers, guys. So I'd say it starts out very pine, very forest, and then it sort of drifts into slightly sweet fruit flavors. You would think that over time, it's still not a very smooth tea. I think that smoothness will probably improve with time. These fang chas, even though it's been like stored in southeast China for 9 years, it still needs probably more time to just come apart. The leaves have considerably darkened. In fact, I think the leaves are a little bit darker on the yeah, they're definitely a little bit darker on the fang cha as compared to the Old Bear, which is interesting, and it's hard to say how much of that could be the processing from Xiaguan, which is known to sort of fuss around with their processing to get sort of like that desired profile that they like. But I would say for me, this fang cha, it satisfies a somewhat similar area to the Old Bear. I could definitely drink it. It wouldn't be more than like a casual daily drink for the right audience. Again, it's a little bit less smoky, which I find to be kind of interesting. All right, cheers, guys. More upfront bitterness to the Old Bear. It's a lot. It's smoother. It's a little bit softer in the mouth. I think it still needs some time to sort of like smooth out those edges, which it's not going to get from this Fang Cha, obviously. So I think it's a tea that, if you like sort of like those smoother profiles, it'll probably round out pretty nicely with age. I think it's getting there. A little bit floral in the taste. Yeah, and it definitely does remind me. They're not dissimilar teas at all. But yeah, I think that wraps up this InBetweenIsode number 42. Let me know how you guys liked it. If you guys like to see sort of comparison episodes like this, I would definitely say, in the verdict, I guess, would be that, the teas are similar. I would say the Old Bear is probably the better tea, especially to drink right now. And I think the price that it's charged for is not at all egregious. And the Xiaguan is also similarly priced. I wouldn't say to avoid that tea either. I think it's also very good for the price point, buying directly from China. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and cheers.